Back when the blessing was only a dream, oh, Father Abram was looking at me. I'm one of the many stars in the sky. Don't care if I stumble, I'm learning to fly.
Shalom. Welcome to the Hunt Blind with Dael. And we're here in beautiful Oklahoma at Lake Murray. Ardmore, I believe is the city that's around us here. And with me is Dr. James Scott Trimm from Natzarim Space. And we're here at Sukkot. And you know, one thing about Sukkot is we learn things. You know, sometimes we go back to the beginning and learn the basics of stuff. And but on our website and on the some of the videos we do, we got people asking about some different teachings and stuff to do. So we wanted to hit one today, and it has to do with these right here. This is Talit, and of course the question is, what are they for? How do we use them? There's some various things in them that the crown and wings as we talk about, of course, the fringes. But let's hit the first thing first. This one's a different color than this one.
They all have different, there's a variety of different stripe patterns available. Some of those are associated with the different tribes, 12 tribes patterns. However, you can have any kind of a stripe pattern. It's really just decoration. It's not a functional part of the Talit. In fact, I once saw a Talit that was an Israeli flag with tzitzit on the four corners of it, so and fringes. So it's not necessarily, it's not really a functional part of the Talit. It really doesn't matter which stripe pattern you get. They're all good. They don't.
So if we got somebody that's got one that's tie-dyed or whatever, that stuff doesn't have anything to do with it. No disrespect to it or nothing like that.
That's all good, I suppose. If you know, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, but that's just fine.
Okay. Well, let's get into the thing here. Here we have what's it, the crown.
That's called the crown, and that has the blessing that we read before placing the Talit. It's the traditional blessing. There's a traditional blessing that is used for performing mitzvot, and so it starts with that blessing, and then the ending of that blessing is unique to each mitzvot that we perform. And so this one, in English, it says, "Blessed are you, Yahweh our Elohim, who has sanctified us by your commandments and commanding us concerning the putting on of the tzitzit."
Okay, tzitzit. Okay, now that would be these long fringes. Last one we wear them on our.
Yes. This is a commandment from the Torah. It's in Numbers chapter 15, the last part of the chapter, starting in verse 37. It says, "And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them throughout their generations fringes," or in English, tzitzit, "in the corners of their garments, that they put with the fringe of each corner a thread of blue." That word for blue there is actually in the Hebrew techlit, which is not just blue. It's a specific shade of blue, and arguably a particular dye of blue. There's some debate as to whether that dye is derived from a cuttlefish or from a snail. And more recently, I've just recently learned an argument that the dye might have been actually produced by a plant, but it's a specific dye. And then it says, "And it shall be unto you a fringe, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of Yahweh to do them, that you go not about after your own heart and after your own eyes, after which you go astray, that you may remember and do all of my commandments and be set apart unto your Elohim. I am Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your Elohim. I am Yahweh your Elohim." There's another interesting point about this mitzvot, or this commandment, and that is that it's addressed in verse 38. It says, "Speak unto the children of Israel," or literally the Bnei Yisrael. Some translations will have the sons of Israel. Bnei Yisrael is literally sons of Israel. However, in Hebrew, a mixed group is always addressed in the masculine. So even if you had 1,000 women and one man, it would still be referred to in the masculine, or say B'nai Yisrael. So there's debate over whether this mitzvah applies only to men or applies both to men and women. But as a rule, it's definitely required of men, and then women are permitted to follow their own conscience, so long as it's not worn on a masculine garment. Rashi's wife is said to have worn tzitzit on her apron, for example. So,
well, here's, I think, was one of the problems that we have with that, because these are new talits, but they're all white.
White. They're all white, and that's because the rabbinic tradition for a long time has been to make tzitzit all white and not put any blue in them, because there was question as to whether what the techelet was exactly, what animal it was. It's not just blue, so they didn't want to just make them blue and then create the misunderstanding that techelet just meant blue, as we read in the KJV blue, and even in the HRV blue, because that's the nearest English translation. And it was also belief that the animal in question from which the techelet came from was extinct. But of the animals that are in the running, 2 of them have recently been discovered to actually still be in existence, to not be extinct after all.
And that would be
a cuttlefish. It's a specific cuttlefish and a specific snail that produces
sea snails.
Yes. From the Red Sea.
From the Red Sea.
From the Red Sea. So it's a very unique species. It's not just any sea snail. It's not just any cuttlefish. It's a very unique, special species of cuttlefish.
So we consider it a separate, called out.
Yes, sir. The Talmud describes this creature and says that it walks upon its beard. And so there's been some debate as to exactly which creature it's talking about in the sea that walks upon its beard and produces this techelet or blue dye.
So if somebody bought one of these and they do have a blue cord, it'd be all right for them to switch it out and change it out to put on the blue.
There's, they can certainly get techelet from a number of sources that make tzitzit with him. There's also sources that sell the talit with techelet already on it. So that's always an option.
Well, now here's the other question. I've heard that, we've heard the thing, there's healing in his wings.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding, that is part of the talit.
Yes. In Numbers 15, remember it said to place the tzitzit on the corner of the garment. And the word for corner in Hebrew is kanaf, which also means wing. So it could also be translated on the wings of the garment, same word. And in the Midrash Rabbah, there is a messianic prophecy. Well, it's actually in Malachi, in the book of Malachi. There is a prophecy which is in, I have my notes here, in Malachi chapter 4, verses 1 through 2, is the prophecy about how there's healing in his wings. And in the Midrash Rabbah in Exodus 31:10, that's applied to the Messiah as a messianic prophecy, which is significant because it's never applied as a messianic prophecy in the so-called New Testament, that particular passage. But it is by the Midrash Rabbah, so it is recognized in Rabbinic Judaism as a messianic prophecy. And that's significant because there is a story in Matthew chapter 9, verses 20 through 21, and it's also found in both Mark and Luke, where a woman comes over and she takes hold of the kanaf. It says in the King James Version, or I believe the hem, but in the Hebrew and Aramaic text, it's definitely the kanaf, of the tzitzit of his garment, and she was healed. And that's because the passage says that there's healing in his wings.
So that's pretty, it's pretty amazing how everything fits, and because also an understanding and people that has asked is, we're told to go into our prayer closet.
Yes. To explain a little bit, the talit itself originates, as we said, from the commandment to wear the tzitzit. But during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, it was made illegal to wear tzitzit. And so there were two alternatives that evolved over time to fulfill the commandment without getting executed for violating the law because it was punishable by death. So they would do the prayer shawl, and then they would just bring it with them to synagogue in a closed bag, and when they got to synagogue, they'd take out the bag, and they'd take out the tzitzit, put them on, and at least wear them in the synagogue. But as far as wearing them in daily life, they began to wear them under their clothing on a forewarning garment. The one that's worn, the talit that's worn outside is called the talit hagadol, or the large talit, and the talit that's worn under the garment is called the talit katon, which is the small talit. And so this is my tzitzit on my talit katon, which actually fits under the garment. Now, when Yeshua talked about going into your prayer closet, they didn't keep clothes in a closet like then. In fact, even 100 years ago, they were keeping clothing in a wardrobe. And so when he says to go into your prayer closet, it's actually a reference to taking the talit and forming a little sort of a hood and enclosure. And when Wayne demonstrates the use of the talit in a moment, we'll see how that works. And creates an enclosure, which creates an area of privacy for prayer, even when you're in a public location, and also just a sanctified area for yourself and Elohim, even when you're alone. And so that's what it's talking about. In fact, the same word is used in the Hebrew, not only in Matthew chapter 6, verse 6, but also in the book of Jasher, chapter 3, I believe. That's the reference here. Yeah, it's in Jasher chapter 3, verses 2 and 5. It talked about Enoch, and it said that Enoch would go into his closet, talking about that. And very interesting terminology, it says that he wrapped himself up in the instruction of Yahweh, which just reaches to this imagery of the talit wrapped around it. And also the wings fit very well what Yeshua said that he talks about like taking Jerusalem under his wings, like a mother hen.
That's kind of if somebody who's never seen this before, as we know that our brothers and sisters in the Christian church and everything, they take things pretty, with that prayer closet, and they'll try to clean out a closet and go into the closet. Yeah. When you get back to the actual scripture, the actual Hebrew, and see where it's at, you find out how all this stuff comes to play, and that it's not just it's not a Jewish thing. It's a very much a Hebraic thing, as everybody should be doing, not just.
As a matter of fact, an interesting element of that is Zechariah 8:23 has a prophecy that says, I'll just pull it out and read it here. Thus says Yahweh Tzavaot, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold of all the languages of the nations, shall even take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew. The word skirt there in the Hebrew is kenath, the tzitzit, of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you. And of course the 10 men implies the 10 lost tribes amongst the nations, grabbing hold of the tzitzit, saying, we've heard that Elohim is with you, and we will go with you. And that you is plural in the Hebrew. It's not singular, so it's not just talking about Yeshua. It's talking about the house of Judah.
Well, Dr. Trimm, I appreciate you coming here on the Hunting Blind and getting into this and showing the aspects of this. Because like I said, a lot of people, as myself, I'm not one because I didn't want to disrespect it, because there's a crown on here, and we know that when there's a crown involved, there's royalty involved, and we know that Yeshua is of the royal house and is of the royal lineage, and so I didn't want to disrespect that. And I know a lot of people, other people, do not want to disrespect that. So I appreciate you coming on. We're going to let Wayne come on here and show us how to do this and how to properly put it on and everything, and then we're going to set up, so we'll be right back here in a moment. Shalom, we're back here, and we're with Wayne Ingalls. Wayne, you're from Oklahoma here. Actually, you're the host of the HaTorah here.
That's right.
Just a little bit of information on your congregation and everything.
Right. I'm the Zachen, or the elder of Beit Tefillah Fellowship in Lawton, Oklahoma. And we come out to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles Sukkot. We've come here to Lake Murray several times. This is the second time we've been here at this camp. And we try to get out and, be separated from the world and be really a set apart gathering out and camping out. So that's what we try to do to honor Yah during Sukkot.
Okay. Now you're going to demonstrate on how to properly put on the Talit here, but we ask some questions because it's white, it's wool, and there's some out of silk. What's the proper care?
Yeah, when washing a Talit, and sometimes they do get soiled, get dirty over time. You can't really wash it in a washing machine because it'll get damaged and it will shrink. I usually use a mesh bag to put it in, so to keep it all together, so the zitziot on the corners don't get twisted up or anything. And I hand wash it in kind of mild detergent, and then set it out on the line to dry, not in a dryer, because that could also damage the make it shrink as well. So you want to be very careful when you're cleaning it, because otherwise it will get dirty. And I do not recommend giving it to a dry cleaner, even though they do a lot of wool garments. They have very little experience in washing talits, and I've heard tell of it coming back pretty much destroyed. So definitely hand wash it, and I'd recommend hand washing it yourself.
Okay. You're going to put this on for us. You're going to go through the proper steps, the covering. That's much on. You've got to cover yourself with it before you have to put it on and everything like that. So I'm going to step right here and let you go through and describe what you're doing.
Right. Well, as in all things in Judaism, there's often more than one tradition or how to do something. I'm going to demonstrate how I do it, and it's kind of in the Masorti, or the conservative Judaism tradition, of how to put it on. As Rabbi Trimm mentioned, there is a crown, a keter, at the top of the talit, and the blessing is on that. Typically, I will unfold after taking out the bag. You unfold it and you kind of shake it out. And typically, I will kiss the crown. I usually do it 3 times from right to left. And then the blessing. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu l'hitatega beit tzitzi. And I will wrap it around. Form a prayer closet. And replace it on my head with the crown kind of on my forehead. Then put the wings up, such as this. Of course, while doing this, we are, of course, facing towards Yerushalayim, or Jerusalem.
So we'll be facing towards the east.
Facing towards Jerusalem, right. I would say not necessarily east, in the sense of if you're in Jordan, you can face toward Jerusalem, facing toward the west, for example. And you, afterward, you adjust it, and you thus are wearing your talit gadol. Typically, we will then check the status of our zitziot on the corners, make sure they're still well tied, and then we can continue with our prayers while we do this.
Now, I've heard that some say that when you first put it on, that you're wrapped around your head and then wrap it to your left. Is that just a...
Well, I did that when I threw the corner over my shoulder. The wind might have brought it so it's harder to see. But yeah, we do that to kind of create our own separation, our own prayer closet, our own time to separate out from the world, to separate out our prayers. Yes, definitely. We create that time of aloneness, or entering into a set apart time.
Well, it's kind of interesting how I look at this on you, because I also see it as, it's like a cake of sorts, and you can see the protection. We're talking about the thing with the wings.
Right.
It's amazing how things been put together through Scripture to let you visualize and see the things that he's talking about in Scripture. As Dr. Trimm mentioned about the gathering under the rings, you can see how everything's here.
Right.
And so, Wayne, is there anything else that you can offer to our audience as far as
Well, there's just a great amount of symbolism of Mashiach with the Talit, and all the things that we read about in the Torah itself is all about leading us toward Messiah, and wearing of a seamless garment with 4 corners of techelet, which traditionally the techelet, the blue, if you will, reminds us of the sea, which reminds us of the sky, which reminds us of the throne of heaven. So even with that, we see Yah in just how the Talit looks, and the whole makeup of wearing a seamless garment.
Well, Wayne, I appreciate you coming here and demonstrating this
You're
for
welcome,
us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you got any questions about this, please contact us at Nazarene HaTorah. You just go right back here to the back into the comment section and leave us a message, and we'll try to get back with you as quickly as possible on this. We hope that this has been an educational experience for you, because it has for me, because it opened my eyes on how to show respect to this one proper garment according to the way that it was set for us to be. So for myself here at the Humble Line with Dael, shalom, shalom.
Back when the blessing was on